Hello, I'm Bruce Harters, and this is Voices in the Village. Today we're going to do part 2 of our 2-part series with Dave Deering. David, thank you very much for coming, and in the first portion of this we talked about how to use your camera, all the various elements. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Camera Club itself, of which David is a member, and also some of the trips he has taken and how he's used his camera and what he found exciting, you know, blah, 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 blah. So again, David, thanks for coming and welcome to Voices in the Village again.
Thank you, Bruce. Nice to be here again.
Okay. All right, the Camera Club. What is the Camera Club?
The Camera Club is probably one of the most unique clubs, although there are many, many clubs in the village. We actually have a studio. We have printers. We have computers. We do classes, many, many photo opportunities for people in the village to come and explore what we have. I just recently finished teaching a class on what we talked about in part 1, right? And we had several people in that. I've done that class 3 times, and I think we've had, I can say confidently, over 100 people total who've come to those classes.
Is the club actually bigger than that 100, or how many?
Oh yeah, the club is much bigger than that.
How many do you have in the club?
I can't say that with confidence, Bruce, okay. But we have
a lot,
several hundred.
Several.
I would say.
Now, obviously, not everybody attends every club meeting.
Of course not. Of course not. And I don't mean to be too hyperbolic about that number. So I don't know what it is exactly. But we have lots of members.
I won't pin you down then.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, okay. So what else about the club?
What's interesting about the club is the camaraderie, and that's actually the title of our e-newsletter. And you can find all sorts of things about what is going on in the club. We teach many, many different classes, and I think that's the focus. As I said, I just finished teaching class, and I'm going to teach one after the first of the year for people who have just started taking pictures, who took lots of pictures over the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and we're going to show them how to take those pictures from their camera, using their SD card to put them on a computer to share with friends, using Picasa, which we talked about last time,
right.
Making web albums, doing something with those photographs. We also have the capability of taking old photographs. My mother took a picture of me in 1946, all right, which I have in a print,
right.
all right, but it's all cracked and rather seen the wear and tear of the years. But there are ways that can be, excuse me, ways that those can be photoshopped and made almost like it would be a digital image taken today.
I had a personal experience with that the other day. My cousin sent me a picture of my great-grandmother and her 6-month-old child, who died unfortunately at an early age. So I received that, of course, on the computer and looked at it. But it is so startling to see somebody from my grandmother's mother of that age and how they dressed and how they looked. It's such an exciting thing that I must admit I'm not into Ancestry.com and all that.
Yeah.
But when something flows across your desk,
exactly.
you say, wow, that is something.
It's a history lesson. And I would be willing to bet in this community, Bruce, that there are many, many, many people who have those old photo albums, perhaps with the photos falling out, or those little sticky things we used to use, or the glassine where we put them, who taking a trip down memory lane would probably like to have some of those saved digitally, and that's very possible.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, do you guys do a lot of dog and pony shows among yourselves with all the photography? Like, will you give a presentation at the club of your last trip somewhere or whatever?
We have done that, and last Monday night, Ken Furuta, who is a marvelous photographer, did a program for the club. We have also digital critiques where you can take your pictures and submit them and have them judged by a professional, and you'll be given a score, all right, up to 9, and not only will you get a score, you will also get a digital critique. For example, maybe the person would say this needs to be sharpened a little bit, or maybe this needs to be straightened a little bit, or maybe you need to crop this picture just a little bit. So not only are you getting a score of your particular image, but you're also getting some suggestions on how to improve it.
Uh-huh. Well, for all of you out there that are interested in getting into cameras a little bit more, I certainly would recommend everything I've heard today about the Camera Club in good old Laguna Woods Village. And I'm sure the club will keep going on full bore.
We keep growing and growing and growing.
That's fantastic.
Laguna Hills Camera Club. You can find it online, Laguna Hills Camera Club.
All right, sounds good. So I know one of the things you do every summer is you take some sort of a wonderful trip somewhere, and you take it mainly on a motorcycle, as I remember it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into this routine of going all over the world and renting a motorcycle and going somewhere with? How did that all come about?
I always enjoyed riding. I ride my bicycle, 2 wheels, my motorcycle, 2 wheels, and I just think it's a fun way to travel. You have the wind in your face, and it gives you a kind of freedom that you don't get otherwise.
Uh-huh.
In 1970, when I was living in New York, I had an old BMW motorcycle, and I rode that with a friend from New York to Southern California, all the way up the coast, up to Crater Lake, and back down through Colorado, and all the way back home. And I took slides of that, and I have yet to go through those slides and, and turn those into digital images.
Uh-huh.
But it's a plan, it's a project.
So is there one particular trip that is the most memorable for you for some reason or another?
There are highlights from all the trips I've taken. In 2004, I rented a motorcycle by myself and toured Europe. I was gone for a month. Went to several. I wanted to see all the famous passes in the Alps and in the Dolomites. I ended up in Venice, Switzerland, all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then I said, "This is fun," and I said, "I want to do this again. I want to go to Morocco, where my daughter works for the Moroccan American Center in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
She says, "Oh, Dad, you ought to go to Morocco, and you ought to do a blog."
Yeah.
And my wife said, "Guess what, David? You're not going to Morocco by yourself." And I don't blame her.
Yeah.
So I took a tour, right, a 16-day tour of Morocco, and ended up with some wonderful images from that. That was a great trip, and I said, wow, this is really a lot of fun. So in 2013, I traveled to Peru, okay, and have a picture of myself standing at Machu Picchu with my camera around my neck. Very interesting.
That's a hard place to get to.
It is a hard place, and you can't take a motorcycle to Machu Picchu. You have to go up on a bus. Okay?
Oh, you can get. I didn't know you could take a bus up there.
Or you can hike in. Oh, yeah, the bus is one right after the other.
Oh, okay.
People from all over the world. Fascinating.
Somehow I thought you had to take a helicopter.
No, that's partly why I like to travel. I love different cultures. I love to meet different people from different cultures. Love to taste the different food. So 2012 was Morocco. 2013 was Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And
but about Machu Picchu. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be such a spiritual place. Did you feel anything? Or really any feelings of up and down your leg or your back or something while you were there?
I didn't quite have that experience, simply because of the number of people who were surrounding me. Okay, but I did find a nice, quiet place. All right, and I did sit there for a while and contemplate, as I said, the culture and the history of that magical spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's practically inaccessible.
It is.
You can climb in or take a bus, but the road up is windy and twisty. But there is a certain magic about the place.
Yeah. All right.
No doubt.
Okay. And then I had interrupted you. You were starting to talk about another.
Well, the next trip I have in mind, and I've already booked. I booked my airline tickets. I'm going to South Africa.
Oh boy.
I'm going to go from Cape Town to Johannesburg through Kruger. And in the mountains down there, it's wonderful. Of course, that's the Cape, that's the tip of Africa.
Right.
Going to tour that, and that's a 14-day trip.
Right.
And that's coming up next March 2016.
Now there are some people that are kind of wary of South Africa for safety reasons or whatever. Have you heard that? Ever heard about that at all?
Before I went to Peru, the State Department said don't go to Peru because there were 2 people who were missing. All right. They were teachers like myself.
Right.
And I said, oh, I've booked this trip. I booked my airfare. The State Department tells me I can't go.
So you did.
And I went anyway. And what the 2 people did, who were teachers, who everyone thought were family and friends thought were missing, ended up just not checking in.
Oh boy.
Okay. And here was the State Department warning. There were a dozen people, I think, signed up for this Peru trip, and 7 canceled
Wow.
because of that.
What a
So we
shame.
ended up with just 5 people. Yeah.
Now,
So,
the first one you were talking about
in Morocco?
in Morocco. What is Morocco like?
Oh, Morocco's North Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. And all of these places talk about safety. They're tourist destinations. So people want to keep these, the authorities want to keep these places safe because so much of it depends, so much of their economy depends on tourism.
Right.
And Morocco was wonderful. Went to Casablanca, went to Fez, went to Chefchaouen.
You
which
didn't
is way
see
up in the
Humphrey
mountains.
Bogart in Casablanca by any chance?
I only saw his pictures where they shoot lots and lots of movies. Okay, Jewel of the Nile, and
Yeah,
I have a friend in the village who actually did some movies over in
Oh, my goodness.
Morocco.
Well, it sounds like you've been having and are having a great time. And for all you out there, I hope you've enjoyed hearing David talk about all his experiences in the Camera Club. This was part 2, and I hope you were able to see part 1. In any event, I'm Bruce Harders, and this has been Voices in the Village, and I hope you come back soon. Bye now.